calculations related to concentration. अच्छा, just remember one thing. What is concentration? It's amount of solute in moles dissolved per unit volume of solvent. देखो, ये एक मुख्तलिफ किस्म की एक्सप्रेशन है जिसमें अमाउंट ऑफ सॉल्यूट डिसॉल्व पर यूनिट वॉल्यूम ऑफ सॉल्वेंट. यूनिट वॉल्यूम क्या है? 1 dm³ और अमाउंट ऑफ सॉल्यूट ये किस यूनिट में लिया गया है? मोल्स में. तो कंसंट्रेशन की मैथमेटिकल एक्सप्रेशन क्या होगी? कंसंट्रेशन इज इक्वल टू मोल्स पर वॉल्यूम इन dm³, राइट? और इसके यूनिट होंगे मोल पर dm³. इसमें पूरा मोल लिखना जरूरी नहीं होता, mol काफी होता है. सो दिस इज द फॉर्मूला एंड दिस इज द यूनिट. अच्छा, अब मैं इस बात को एक और अंदाज से कह सकता हूँ. कंसंट्रेशन एक इनडायरेक्ट इफेक्ट है. जैसे एक गिलास पानी में, आजकल आप लोग रमज़ान में माशाल्लाह रूह अफ़ज़ा ज़रूर बना रहे हैं. तो इफ़ आई कंसिडर दिस वाटर and if you add small quantity of रूह अफ़ज़ा, small quantity, I'm sorry, I'm using this example during as you're fasting right now. This will be a pale red solution, and if you raise the amount of this becomes darker and darker. Remember, it's amount of solute which is making it darker, right? ये solute है जो उसको डार्क कर रहा है मुस्तकिल. जितना ज़्यादा रूह अफ़ज़ा ऐड करोगे उतना डार्कर होता है. तो सॉल्यूट जो है वो ये है. लेकिन इस सोल्यूशन को मैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ कंसंट्रेशन इसलिए नहीं ले सकता बिकॉज आई डोंट नो द मोल्स ऑफ रूह अफ़ज़ा दैट आई एम एडिंग इनटू इट. द आइडिया ऑफ मोल इज अप्लाइड टू दोज जिसका molecular mass तुम्हें पता हो. So I can rewrite this expression as moles are equal to mass over mr. So I can place these value in the first expression. Concentration is equal to mass over mr volume in dm³, right? मेरे पास एक फॉर्मूला इसका ये भी बन जाता है, ठीक है? क्योंकि मोल खुद से बराबर है मास ओवर एम आर के, वॉल्यूम इन dm³. तो इफ आई एम आस्क्ड व्हाट will be the concentration of a solution when 10 grams of sodium hydroxide is dissolved in 500 cm cube. तुमसे concentration पूछी जा रही है NaOH की when 10 grams of NaOH dissolved in 500 cm cube. So I know the formula C is equal to moles over volume. I don't know the moles. I am provided with the mass of NaOH. So first of all, take out the moles of NaOH in 10 grams. For moles of NaOH, 1 mole of NaOH, इसका MR कितना होता है 40. If you look into periodic table, sodium is 23, oxygen is 16, and hydrogen is 1. So this makes total of 40. 1 mole of NaOH is 40 grams. So X moles are there in 10 grams. So this becomes 10 over 40 or 1 over 4 or 0.25 moles. So placing this moles in the formula, C is equal to 0.25. But the second important thing that you need to convert is the volume of this. Volume मुझे किस में दिया गया CM cube में, but standardly what I need is DM cube. So first I have to 1 DM cube is equal to 1000 CM cube. So I need to convert these CM cube into DM cube. So 500 CM cube over 1000, the value comes 0.5 DM cube. Placing this value, placing this value 0.5. So C will be equal to, answer me in the chat box, how much this would be, 1 over 2 over 2 or 0.5 mole per DMQ. Is that making sense? Answer me in the chat box. So this is the basic most thing that we have learned about concentration, how to calculate it. But this is not what that comes in your paper. It's not, examiner is not that fool to give such easy type of problems to you. He will definitely be giving you some mature problems, which we will be discussing now. Have you taken a screenshot of both of the sheets? This is slide number 1. Slide number 2. Moving to 3. Now, the question will come with some other references. But first thing that you need to know, examiner is asking how many moles are present in 60 cm cube of 1.24 mole per dm cube solution. अब इसमें ज़रूरी नहीं कि वो कोई नाम मेंशन करे. He has given you two quantities. पहली quantity क्या है? Concentration. You can look at it. It's unit. Unit is telling you mole per dm cube is concentration, and this is volume. So if I have concentration is equal to mole over volume. So by this I can calculate moles are equal to concentration cross multiply कर लो इधर लाके times volume, but remember in DMQ if it is given in CMQ. So 1.24 times 60 over 1000 gives you moles. So how many moles? Yes, Shahryar, how many moles? 0.0744. Shabash, Shahryar and Asra. Okay, so I can go either way. I can find concentration, I can find moles. So these are the two ways that examiner is using in your question. Now, let's suppose what volume of, now be very careful, volume of carbon dioxide is produced when excess of magnesium carbonate reacts with 80 cm cube of 1.6 mole per dm cube of hydrochloric acid. The equation that examiner has given MgCO3, MgCl2, H2O, and CO2. Now, one thing that you need to, like, that you have been doing in the previous classes also, something which is mentioned with the excess is not the part of calculation, and something that is not asked is also not the part of calculation. So examiner is not asking about MgCl2, MgCO3, and H2O. So I will relate it. First of all, I need to find out the moles of hydrochloric acid present. Moles of HCl will be, moles are equal to concentration times volume in DMQ. So concentration is how much? 1.6 times 80 over 1000. So what are the moles of hydrochloric acid in this? बताओ बेटा. 0 point, thank you both of you, 0.128 moles. So I can apply this. These are the moles of hydrochloric acid. But examiner is interested in the volume of carbon dioxide. So I can make a relation. 2 moles of HCl produces 1 mole CO2. 2 moles of HCl will produce 1 mole of CO2. So I can relate it. If 2 is to 1, carbon dioxide is given in volume. So I can rewrite this expression. 2 moles is 224 dm3. क्योंकि वो वॉल्यूम में 1 मोल ऑफ कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड ऑक्यूपाई 24 dm3. So 2 is to 24. So 0.128 is to x, do the cross multiplication, and the answer will be the answer will be 1.536 dm cube of CO2. Has this made some sense? Please respond me in the chat box, everyone. Okay. Sure, yeah. Sure, have you understood how I have found out the moles of HCl? Because if MgCO3 is excess, what will be limiting? HCl. So that means I have to drive the problem with reference to HCl. And I have to make a relation between HCl and CO2, which I have done on the right side of the slide. Now, for moles of HCl, I took concentration and volume both, and that's okay, Abdul Qadir. I'll be re-explaining another problem regarding this. So you took out the number of moles by that way, by placing the quantities which are given in the question, isn't it, Sharia? Have you noticed how I have calculated the moles? Okay, now moving on. Once you have found out the moles, you have made a relation between HCl and carbon dioxide. 2 moles of HCl and 1 mole of carbon dioxide. 2 moles of HCl and 1 mole of carbon dioxide. So I related that way. I wrote that. So I again like translating moles of carbon dioxide into dm cube. Why? Because I'm asked to find out the volume. मुझे कहा गया है कि आपने volume find करना है. So I have translated accordingly. And later on, 2 is to 24. So how many moles that you have collected in the first part applied? So this gives you actual volume. Now see the second problem. I know it's not that easy to pick up from the very first one. Now, calculating mass of sulfur dioxide produced when 160 cm cube of HCl reacts with 160 cm, completely right, 160 cm cube of 1.8 mole per dm cube of HCl reacts with excess of Na2SO3. अब मास किसका फाइंड करना है? सल्फर डाइऑक्साइड का. Equation that is provided by the examiner, Na2SO3 2HCl makes NaCl H2O and SO2. Now, keeping in your mind that this is excess, I have crossed out this. Examiner is not interested in NaCl and water, so I have crossed these two as well. Now, 2 moles of HCl produce 1 mole of sulfur dioxide. That is the relation. But first of all, you have to find out how many moles of HCl are there, because the quantities are not that standardized. So, for moles of HCl, C is equal to moles over volume. मोल्स को मैं n से भी रिप्रेजेंट कर सकता हूँ, and volume n dmq. So moles will be equal to, whether he gives you a balance equation or not, you should know how to balance them. But usually examiner give you balance equation for these kind of questions. So moles are equal to concentration times volume in dm. So what is the concentration? 1.8 160 over 1000 to convert this into dmq. So how much this would be? And the moles are 0.288. These are the moles of HCl. Now, as the relation should have been between HCl and SO2. Now, let me change the ink. This should be between these two. So, 2 moles of HCl are producing 1 mole of SO2. Now, here some smart brains have to work. Examiner is asking for the mass of SO2, right? And if he's asking mass, so let me write it over here. MR of SO2 is 64. So, मुझे इसकी ट्रांसलेशन बहुत केयरफुली करनी है. I can rewrite 2 moles of HCl produces what will be the mass of 1 mole? 64 grams of sulfur dioxide. So this is my first statement. And how many moles of HCl that you have obtained? So 0.288 moles of HCl produces X grams of sulfur dioxide. So how much this would be overall? It will become 0.288 times 64 divided by 2 is equal to X. And the answer will be 9.216 grams. All right. Is that making sense to everyone? Please respond me. I'll go for the third problem. Everyone quickly respond. Now, yes, Ruman. Yes. Have you joined it late? I guess. I think you have joined it late. Now look at third problem. Rest of you who have understood, they will solve it on their own, and I will be solving for those who have joined me late. थर्ड प्रॉब्लम विल बी, वो भी इसी टाइप की प्रॉब्लम दूंगा. फाइंडिंग वॉल्यूम ऑफ हाइड्रोजन गैस when excess of magnesium reacts with 60 cm cube of 2.8 mole per dm cube of H2SO4. Equation which is provided, Mg H2SO4 gives MgSO4 and hydrogen. Now, what are you provided with 60 cm cube of this and this? This is excess को cross out कर दिया. We don't want it. Examiner is not asking about magnesium sulfate as well. इसको भी cross out कर दिया. अब finding moles of H2SO4. They are C is equal to N over V is the concentration formula. I have to drive it from moles. So this will become 2.8 times 60 over 1000. So how many moles of H2SO4 are available? And the moles are 0.168. ठीक है रोमान भाई. Now, these are the moles of H2SO4. Related, 1 mole of H2SO4 is producing 1 mole of hydrogen gas. So I will write 1 mole of H2SO4, 1 mole of hydrogen gas. But examiner is interested in the volume of hydrogen gas. Now let me change the color first. Volume of hydrogen gas. So 1 mole of H2SO4 producing 1 mole of this. So I can rewrite this 1 mole of H2SO4 gives 24 dm cube of hydrogen gas. Is that okay, Roman, Abdul Qadir, Shariar, Hunan, Isha, Asra, Sarina? 1 mole क्यों नहीं लिखा? Is asking 1 mole क्यों नहीं लिखा? I have written 1 mole, but I'm अच्छा हाँ ठीक है अब्दुल कादिर, fair enough. Examiner is asking about volume. If I answer about moles, that will be unfair, or the answer is not will not be considered as correct one. 1 mole of H2SO4 was producing 1 mole of hydrogen gas. That's what we know. But what is the value of this 1 mole of hydrogen gas in terms of volume? So 1 mole is to 24 dmq. 1 mole hydrogen gas कितना volume occupy करते? 24. And this is what we have standardized. We have observed this by the help of equation. So how many moles of this is to X? Do the cross multiplication. How much this would be? And the answer will be 4.034 dm cube. Has this made some sense? Everyone respond to this. सब लोग जितने बच्चे बैठे हैं अटेंड कर रहे हैं क्लास को. I haven't got the responses from everyone. इसका भी स्क्रीनशॉट आप ले लीजिए. आई एम फ्रेजिंग अनदर क्वेश्चन. ठीक है, वो पहले कॉपी पे लिखो अपने पास. मीनवाइल तुम उसको सॉल्व करोगे, मैं दूसरा मीटिंग लिंक सेंड करूंगा. द क्वेश्चन इज, note it down. Find the volume of CO2 when 180 cm cube of 2.4 mole per dm cube of HNO3 reacts with excess of calcium carbonate. So CaCO3 to NH3, sorry, HNO3 gives CaNO3, H2O, and CO2. Copy this quickly. I'll send you a fresh link because this is about to be expired. I'm sending another link. Join the class as soon as it is possible. I hope everyone has copied that. Okay, so I'm sending another link.